All right. Hello, hello. Today we are here with the lovely, amazing Ashlee Berghoff, who is just doing some amazing things with people's basically operations. So, if you feel like day to day you are stuck in your business, you need to talk to Ashlee because she is the one who is getting you kicked out of your business and improving it. So that you're not sucked into the day to day. So, let's do that better. Tell us more about what you do, Ashlee.
I'm so glad to be here, Nicole. Thank you so much for arranging this. I really my vision for the team that I have is to support both sides of the client operator relationship at a much deeper level than most of us have had access to so far. So we work with companies where the founder is the linchpin in the business. They are starting to feel like things are breaking. The risks are growing as their revenue is growing. They might have a kind of constellation of team members, but they're still holding the full kind of core functions of the business. And so, really, our mission in supporting them is to extract them from the operations of the business, both from a strategic perspective and an implementation. So they don't have to figure out how to delegate on their own. They don't have to figure out how to get the operational support that they need. And then we also want to create much more meaningful, high value work for great operators.
Yeah. So is it really hamstrings a lot of businesses when the CEO or the business founder is the person that is doing everything, is the linchpin for it, right?
Hmm. Yeah, especially for most entrepreneurial folks who start their own businesses, this is not the side of the business they like, right?
Mhm.
Those of us like me who love the operations side can kind of struggle in the big picture, the vision, the seeing the future part. We kind of get locked into getting things done and organizing everything. But visionaries have the opposite challenge of getting out there and wanting to sell and be the face of things and drive a vision, but getting kind of frustrated by always being pulled back into the weeds of getting things done and delivering.
So are you saying the founders don't actually have to do everything?
It is a very hard pill to swallow for a lot of founders. Like
Yeah.
when we talk to them about it, there's kind of the both sides, right? One side is like, oh, what a dream to own a
Mhm.
business. I don't have a run to not have to worry about this. But then when the rubber meets the road, it's hard to let go. It's hard to trust others.
Mhm.
It's hard to let things go out into the world that aren't exactly how you would have done it, right? So it's a big transition.
Yeah.
Not
But
easy.
done is amazing, right? If it's done and you're not the one doing it, is amazing.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, Ashlee, tell us a little bit about you that we wouldn't see on like your LinkedIn or your website.
Yeah, I've been thinking about this a lot lately because my very first brand image when I started my business back in 2017, I used a lot of Western imagery because I grew up in rural Wyoming. I was a
Mhm.
rancher's daughter, rode
Yeah.
horses, did 4-H, swore I would never, ever, ever, ever live in a big city. And now I've lived in three major ones, Manila in the Philippines, Washington, D.C., and now here in Denver. Um, but it still is what draws me back in, and I think has become part of the ethos a bit of our business of wanting to bring that sense of spaciousness, calm, a slower pace of life into spaces that often don't experience that.
I love it.
Um, and yeah, so you wouldn't get that from my LinkedIn, but it's something I have a bridle actually from when I had a horse on the wall to keep the dream alive of someday having that in my life again.
Very cool. And that's kind of why your logo really is more of a brand, not, what
Mhm.
we call a branding in design, but like it's a
Mhm.
brand. I love it.
I had never thought about that before, but I like that.
Yeah, no, it totally is a brand. So I've created a few of those in my life as well.
Mhm, mhm.
Very cool. So when we talk about differentiation, I describe it as like a triangle. So one side, and if you're tuning in for the first time, I like talking about your differentiation. So really, what sets you apart, what why people would talk to you, why they would work with you. So one side of this triangle is what do you do that really sets you apart and that you love doing, that you're really good at. And the other side is what do your customers or your clients really like about working with you. And then to top it off, we have what are your competitors not saying or doing? And so what's inside this triangle is what your differentiation is. So, Ashlee at A Square, what is it that you guys are doing that you're very passionate about that you do really well?
Yeah, I really like this framing. And
Mhm.
one of the things I love about great marketers is kind of creating those frameworks to make these nebulous
Uh-huh.
concepts a little bit more concrete. So on this side, what we do that no one else is, or I wouldn't say that no one else is doing, but that we especially love leaning into is kind of making the transition from what I call bucket of car parts delegation to systems first delegation.
Oh,
And
very
what
cool.
I mean by that is most tools that I see in telling entrepreneurs how to delegate is make a list of the things that you hate doing and kind of give them one by one to someone else. But what happens is you have to package up each of those individual tasks. You have to define them. You have to put an SOP together, or here's how you do this. You have to hand it off to someone else, and they take each of those individual tasks and they don't see the big picture, right? It would take a mechanic to turn that bucket of car parts into a car, right?
Mhm.
So our goal instead is to start with the car, to start with the big picture system of how your business runs. Every
Mhm.
business has one, whether they know what it is or they're intentional about it or not is a question, but every business has how they do what they do, the
Mhm.
way that they do that, right? So we pull that out of their heads and get it all down on paper first, and then say, okay, here's your 50-step customer journey. Here are the 15 of the 50 steps that your operations manager is going to own for you. And we give that whole engine to them, because now not only can they see how the work they do fits into the bigger picture, they also have a path for owning more and more of that work, project managing the entire thing, being able to say, okay, I did my step. Now here's what you're doing next, client, right? So it
Yeah.
can kind of put them in the driver's seat of a car instead of just individually handing them a bunch of buckets of car parts and then hoping they can kind of put it together into a cohesive whole.
Yeah.
So I love doing that, and I really believe in it.
Yeah. No, that's totally makes sense. I mean, that's how we do marketing too. So
Mhm,
it's not just let's throw a little bit over here and do a little bit over here, looking at like
mhm,
the big picture where you want to go with the vision in mind. We
mhm.
can build up the company the way we want to build it up. So,
Yeah, yeah, because that can happen on accident in marketing,
mhm.
right? I'm sure you've seen this where, you talk to them about what have you been doing so far, and they're like, "Oh, yeah, someone said I should do this, so now we're doing that, and someone said I should do that, and so now we're doing that, and
Mhm.
someone came in and offered to do some Google ads, so we're doing some Google ads," right? And then you see each of those things, and they don't really talk to each other,
Aligned.
and they don't feel
Mhm.
cohesive, and they don't
Mhm.
match kind of a consistent strategy. And so, yeah, I mean, a car is a cohesive engine, and especially in marketing,
Yeah.
that car's not gonna go unless the battery's attached to the engine, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and like if you try and set it up so that, everything's in the wrong spot,
Mhm,
and that's the same with you. I mean, with what you guys are doing in operations. If you have done it before and you're like, "Hey, I need this piece, but really why does that piece go into this? Does it really fit in
mhm,
there well? Is there some way we could do that differently, better?" You know. And honestly, we always say, cheaper, better, faster you can get too, but if you're going to put it all together, maybe there are ways to do that one thing cheaper, better, faster. You
mhm,
know, if we look at the big picture, like why are we even doing this? Yeah, maybe we get some likes, or maybe it's a answering the phones the way we always have, but if it's really not going to get us where we need to go, why are we doing it? So,
mhm.
yeah. So I love operations. Don't do any of it, but I love it. I love what
Well, I mean, operations is just the flip side of strategy, so it talks very closely to the work that you do. Yeah.
Yes, it does.
Mhm,
All right. So on the other side of this here, when we talk about what your clients like about you, what they say, oh my gosh, this is why I started working with you. These are the results I got. What do your clients say about you guys?
yeah, yeah. So when we have conversations with our clients, they share a few things that are always a little bit of a surprise in some ways.
Uh-huh.
So one thing they often speak to is feeling heard and listened to and understood in their businesses, that there's someone who gets them, who's someone who's in their corner, and someone who's really taking the things that they are throwing out there and running with them. Everyone who comes through A Squared is matched with an operations manager. So
Mm-hmm.
that's someone who's in the trenches in their business, getting things done, often client facing, interfacing directly with their clients. And having someone like that in your corner who you don't feel like you have to manage, but who's in a lot of ways managing you, is a massive lifesaver for a lot of folks. And so that is a kind of the biggest, quickest
Mm-hmm.
result that we see with a lot of our clients, is just having that person on their team and realizing, we hope this never happens, but, in the situations where they have a family emergency, where they have a conference that they're out for, whatever, that all of a sudden the weight of that experience is lifted, to have someone in there with them and they're not in it alone.
That's super cool. So, a lot of times we kind of forget how scary it can be to, I guess, open the kimono, if that's a phrase that you use, and really share about the business. But
Yeah.
you put someone in there that really sees behind the magic curtain and can say, okay, this is what we need to do, and you get to trust this person to walk with you in the journey. So I love
Mhm.
it. I love that that's something you do.
Yeah, yeah, it's a real gift, because I've had conversations with folks before kind of describing the standard by which our operations managers work, right? The standard they hold themselves to, the standard we hold them to. And I've had people say to me, like, I don't think people like that exist. They do, they do.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just learning how to find them and create work that is meaningful and valuable to them.
Yeah, yeah. And yeah, giving them the right direction to go do what they really want to do too. So, yeah, I
Mhm.
love it. So it sounds like so far a lot of what you guys are providing that's really unique is just the fact that you really incorporate the vision, what they're really wanting, and then just being there and supporting them through it and through the highs and lows and everything in between so that they have that trusted partner. I love it.
Mhm.
So now to the top of the triangle, what do your competitors say or do? Well, what are they not doing or saying that you guys do?
Yeah, yeah, and we're in an interesting space, which sounds nice, but is actually kind of hard, in that I know of maybe one other company that is doing what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So the model that we have is that we're matching our clients with both, an operations strategist level person and an operations manager level person. So we have kind of the COO and ops manager person in their team together.
Uh-huh.
So those two are supporting each other, both in, okay, here's your big picture vision. Here is how we're driving towards profitability. Here's how we're solving these big intractable problems. And then someone on the ground figuring out why your website isn't talking to your landing pages anymore, or whatever, right? So
Mm-hmm.
you have both sides of the equation, and there just aren't that many people out there doing that right now. But we have, there are many substitutes that people choose. One is doing it themselves. One is kind of more of a traditional virtual assistant or OBM, or just a COO, kind of an individual um, contributor. And I think the thing that is just special and different about us is that we have a little bit of both things. Um,
Very cool.
that came from my own experience of starting at the ops manager level, working up, my prices going up as I went, and then reaching a point of saying, okay, this is worthwhile to my clients. I'm pulling things out of their head and magically making it happen, but they're also paying me senior level rates to sit on hold with the IRS for 3 hours for them. We could get
That's
someone at a slightly lower rate to do that part, right? So how do we split these roles where you're not overpaying, but you're also not at a spot where you need that strategy level person and you're missing that, or you're having to fill that role yourself.
yeah.
So,
Yeah. No, I love it. I love it. The fact that you have the options to make sure that they have everything and it's actually more affordable by doing it that way. Like no, that's super cool. And I have talked to COOs that, do the 3-hour phone calls because that's what their client needs and they'll do whatever it takes, which is great, but it's not really the best for their clients. So
mhm,
I love
right.
it. I love it. And I love that you actually put, you've stepped out of the business before and have done that because you know how to do it. So I super love that you actually can walk the talk and walk the walk. There you go. You talk the talk and walk the walk. I'm trying to combine stuff here. So, yeah, so I love that you've done that as well. So, um, yeah, so tell me, is there anything that you want anyone to know about you, what's coming up, who you like working with? Let's share a little bit more.
Yeah, yeah. The people that we found who get the most value from Smooth Operator, which is the program we've been talking about, are companies who are kind of cresting seven figures, right? They
Mhm.
have this team, they're starting to realize, okay, how we deliver the work that we do has a direct line impact on our profitability as a company, our recurring revenue, our repeat customers, our all of that. It starts becoming a problem if you don't have good operational structures at that point, and it can start breaking the owner down, right? And so that
Mhm.
can be a really good time. A couple of our customers right now are in the event production space. So any industry with exceptionally complicated operations, we can do a lot of good there. But we've worked with companies in a variety of industries. So that's kind of where we hang out. Um, the best way to follow along with what I'm doing is on LinkedIn. I'm under Ashlee Berghoff there. I'm the only person in the world with this funky specific name, Ashlee with two E's and Berghoff. So I'm the only one. Easy to find there. And that's kind of the easiest way to follow along with what we're doing and what I'm learning. And, um, you know, we want to support people in thinking about operations in a really deep, rich way beyond just here's stuff I hate to do and how can I get someone else to do it? Though
Yep.
that matters too.
I love it. I love it. I mean, who doesn't want someone else to do the stuff that they want? Like, it needs to be done. It's a priority, but I hate doing it. I want more of that, right? Who doesn't? So I love that you guys do that so well, and your solution that is fantastic for so many people. So um, I love it. Well, Ashley, thank you so much for your time and sharing some insight. And I'm sure you'll be available if someone wants to talk to you a little bit more about it. But yeah, so thank you for joining today.
Thank you, Nicole. It's great to see you in action.
All right, thanks, and everyone have a great rest.